Ranking Tears of the Kingdom dungeons worst to best. Hyrule Castle is more about combat than puzzles like the other dungeons. Your goal is to find every Zelda in Hyrule Castle. When you find Zelda, enemies will spawn and you have to fight them. After finding all Zeldas, you go to the Sanctum and you have to fight Phantom Ganon, and when you're finished with him, the dungeon is complete. My biggest problem with this dungeon is in Breath of the Wild, there's guardians all over the place, so it made it hard to move around because lasers were coming at you like every second. But for Tears of the Kingdom, it's a different story because there's barely any enemies in the way. So if they have like Gloom Hands all over the place, it's been much fun because Gloom Hands are really hard to run because they're really fast and they do a lot of damage. So it would have been much fun to go through Hyrule Castle. But they didn't choose it, so I'm going to choose Hyrule Castle for last place. So the Water Temple is very open and it has low gravity, so it has a different style of gameplay. So the puzzles are like water based, so like you change the water levels, you use water fruit to clear out goop, you use the water bubbles for making a switch appear or move around, and you also use Shine and Shield to go through fire, so that's pretty cool. My biggest problem with this dungeon is the boss because you use low gravity, say you use a water fruit to get rid of its goopy form, and you use your slow motion when you jump. It's too OP because you can just spam the arrow attack and kill him because you're in low gravity and you can do an arrow attack. It's too OP. So the problem with this dungeon is it's too easy and the boss is too easy to defeat. So it has to be in the middle because in Ocarina of Time it's really hard. So it has to be in the middle. Not too easy, not too hard. It has to be in the middle. Just right. So it has to be in this place because it's too easy. Wind Temple. So the Wind Temple's puzzles are based on like wind and stuff. You use Twin Scuffs to blow some stuff around. You go through lasers, use ice poles to make a switch happen. It's a really fun dungeon. So the boss is like go through the air and you shoot your bow and arrow at its weak point or you charge to its body. The boss is really fun, but it's a bit too easy because you don't really take damage that much. Like, it doesn't even try to attack you, so that's the biggest problem of this dungeon. The boss is too easy. It doesn't even attack you. It only attacks you when it goes through its polars, or it just shoots at spikes. But the boss music is really good. If the boss music was horrible, it'd probably be at last place. But the music is really good, so I put it at 4th place because the music is really good and the puzzles are pretty cool, but the boss is too easy. Spirit Temple. So I'm going to include the Contract Factory because I think it's part of the dungeon, and the other reason because without the Contract Factory, it'd probably be at last place. So I'm going to include the Contract Factory to the Spirit Temple. So your goal is to try to find all 4 body parts to the robot and attach it back to its rightful owner. So most of the puzzles here require Ultra Hand, and Ultra Hand is really fun to use, so it's a really fun dungeon because you mostly use Ultra Hand, so you can make a car, you can make an airplane, you can make a boat, anything. It's a really fun dungeon to play around with Ultra Hand. So when you get all the 4 body parts and attach it to this robot, you can control the robot and make it to the real temple. You use a rocket to get to the temple and you arrive at the boss fight. For the boss, you use your robot to attack it, so it's a really fun boss because the boss uses like Zonai devices like a cannon or rocket to fly around. It's a really fun boss fight because it's really challenging, but if you play it enough times, you probably win the boss fight like every single time. When you finish the boss fight, you complete the dungeon. So if you don't include the Contract Factory to the Spirit Temple, it'd probably be at last place. If you do include the Contract Factory, it'd probably be at 2nd or 3rd place. This is a really fun dungeon to play around with Ultra Hand. Fire Temple. So the puzzles here are, Nobo, you use minecarts and you use these water fountains to make lava platforms so you can use your Nobo to break the rocks. For the minecarts, you move around places, it's really fun. In your Nobo, you can make switches go up and down. It's a really fun dungeon. For the boss, you use your Nobo to attack its legs or on the ceiling, you use your elbow to make it fall down to the ground. And its weak point is the eye, so when you attack it enough, it will die and complete the dungeon. My biggest problem with this dungeon is the boss doesn't really attack you, it just eats rocks at you and uses its legs to stab you. But that's pretty much it. So the boss is really interesting, but it doesn't have that many attacks, so it has to be in second place because of that. So there's a better dungeon than this one, Lightning Temple. So the puzzles are more mirror based than lightning based, so it should be called the Mirror Temple than the Lightning Temple, but the Lightning Temple sounds cooler, so I'm fine with that. First time you enter the Lightning Temple, it's going to be hard because it's really confusing at the first time. The second time it's really easy because you know how to finish the dungeon, but the mirror puzzles are so good. For the boss, it's really fun. A lot of people hate this boss, but it's really fun for attacking. It has a good challenge, but you can just spam jewels, but without the jewels, it's a really fun challenge because Gyptos will spawn, it will fly away, it will make tomatoes spawn, so many things. It's a really fun challenge with this dungeon. So it's the best dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and my other channel, Pro Nintendo, because I want to reach 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. And bye!